at the EV sector not just as vehicles on the road. I look at it from a bigger business perspective where if we left the taxation regime the way it was, right, then that would mean we would see more units that are coming up, which would then force the government to start thinking, all right, Sawa, we have more vehicles that are coming in due course, we will be consuming the energy that is idle, and perhaps we need to start investing even more on projects that will provide the country with more power to sustain all this, because technology and development is something
Just
that
go up north
continues
here.
every other time.
The Ethiopians built a huge dam.
Yes.
They realized we have more power than we can use. What did they do? They said ban ICE vehicles for their country. That made sense to them because they have more power they can use. Now they've got a few 100,000 EVs, and that's growing.
Yeah.
So what are they doing? They've got two problems in the fuel sector. They don't have foreign exchange to import, and when they import, it's not enough. But they have abundant power, so they're now changing that dynamic. But again, it's not a switch. It doesn't happen overnight. So it's happening slowly. So it has to be a 10-year plan. It's not a 1-year plan that it's not this finance bill cycle of, and I say the finance bill is literally an 8-month cycle, because when you pass it on 1st of July, assuming I'm investing, by the time I import units or kits to start assembling, I will be giving those to customers, if I'm lucky, in November. Okay? So I have November, December, up to around April to do business. Then I start thinking, what are they going to do this year? Will I import? I wait.
So with the changes that we see in the finance bill and the opportunities that do exist, that means you as a business mind who's waiting for enough units for you to set up charging stations, you equally can't put in money in that sector, because you don't know, maybe next year, while we imported 1,000 this year, maybe the coming year we'll import 20, because it is expensive for you and doesn't make any commercial sense.
Yes.
So essentially, we're shooting ourselves in the leg.
Yes. You see, the biggest problem that we have in the country, I'll tell you, is a governance issue. And governance from a perspective of differentiating between businesses. And it is true we live in a political economy, but we must be prudent enough to appreciate that there are spaces that cannot be politicized. There are spaces that cannot be left to the whims of politicians. I am an aspiring politician, but I'm alive to the fact that at some point there's the people we call the technocrats in the government, the permanent government, those people who are in charge of policy, those people who have developed these systems over time to manage the way the economy works. And when it comes to the issues of making sure that the economy is persistent and it is predictable in terms of growth, then we have a duty, and we don't have the luxury of looking at it from the eyes of who is in power today or what will happen tomorrow. If we do that, we are dead. I told you, the way I look at the development of EV, I look at it as a piece of a jigsaw puzzle that is the economic development outlook of the country. Because they are plugging in to a space where, as they go, today we have around, give or take, 40,000 units in the country. We've not started to feel the effect of the power issue. And actually, we may need to develop them to about probably 400,000 units so to effectively, or to get near to an effective uptake of the power that we lose at night and we pay for. So when we get to a place where we'll be talking about 1 million EV vehicles in this country, then an emergence of a new growth in terms of the need to supply power now comes up. So we may look at the alternative sources of power, and we may want to have people and industries setting up power production business. And that now plays into the larger economy. That comes with so many other infrastructural development. Because if at my station now I require a charging space, and I'm putting up that charging space, it will require to be manned by people. So that will be unemployment. Yeah. Today, I told you we have about 6,200 petrol stations across the country. If we transition all those into energy centers, they will require to have probably another 5 people in every station to man these power stations. So employment issue now also gets also sorted in a way. So there are a lot of inputs and there are a lot of other things that support the power charging space that now requires other industries to feed into it. And so, as I say, it's a whole economic outlook if you look at it. So EV just plays like a jigsaw puzzle, and they just come to complement what is happening around the energy industry and the mobility industry. People should not see it as a competition. People should see it from the perspective of the economic growth, that whatever is happening, they are adding up into a GDP. That's how I look at it.
There seems to be appetite to have this